أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والآديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات سبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بؤثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات. Please welcome Moulana Tayyab to the minbar with a loud salawat.
صل على محمد وعلى محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يوصينا معه العدون ولا يودي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بهد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالسخر ميدان عرض ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن على أعدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The moon of the Hashemite clan, the gate to the fulfillment of desires, the hope of the family of Muhammad al-Mustafa, the mirror image of Ali al-Murtaza, the answer to the prayers of Fatima al-Zahra, the brother of Hassan al-Mushtaba, the backbone of Abu Abdullah, the veil of Zainab al-Kubra, the sacrifice of Zainab al-Sughra, and the personification of the trait of Wafa, Abul Fazl Abbas ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen is who we are commemorating tonight. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. When you look at Karbala, there's so many lessons that can be learned. If you want to learn lessons about ibadat, you find it in Karbala. If you want to learn philosophical lessons, you'll find it in Karbala. If you want to learn lessons on irfan, you'll find it in Karbala. If you want to learn lessons on loyalty, you'll find it in Karbala. But that lesson of loyalty, if you truly want to know what it means to be loyal, you'd have to look at Abul Fazl Abbas ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. This trait of loyalty, the way that Hazrat Abbas personified this trait of loyalty, no one in history except his father has personified it. When we look at Karbala, and I had already said that when it comes to the night of the Shahadat of Abul Fazl Abbas, I was going to speak about him. And tonight I will only speak about him, and tomorrow we have one last phrase left from Ziyat al-Warisa, Assalamu alaikum Warisa, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Waliullah. And tomorrow night, inshallah, we'll go back to that. But tonight, we will focus on Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. Anyone that wants to learn loyalty, look at all of the companions. For example, the companions of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, they learned this loyalty of they learned the trait of loyalty. They got this trait of loyalty from looking at Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. Companions of Imam Hud Baqir alayhi salam, such as Jabir al-Jawfi, they got this trait from Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. You look at the companions of all of these Imams, there are some companions of these Imams that are called Bab of the Imam, the gateway to these Imams. For example, Jabir al-Jawfi, he is known as the gateway to Imam Hud Baqir alayhi salam. Jabir al-Jawfi is a very good companion. And for him, Imam Hud Baqir alayhi salam, he says that he is the Salman of my time. That is the status that Jabir al-Jawfi had. So when you look at these companions, you see that all of them, they learned this trait of loyalty from Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. But Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam, where did he get this trait from? That's the question. Be loyal to what? Be loyal to who? That's the question. Loyalty to your own whims, your own desires, loyalty to anyone that holds the reins of power within Islam, loyalty to the Islamic Ummah? No. Loyalty to the Imam of the time. That's what Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam teaches you. Loyalty to the Imam of the time. So where did he get this loyalty from? You look at his father, he teaches, Amir al-Mu'minin teaches Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam how to be loyal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You look at his mother teaches him how to be loyal to the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. From both sides. And when we look at Hazrat Abbas's history, I want to talk to the fathers. Why? Because tonight we speak about Hazrat Abbas. If it was a lecture on, for example, Lady Zahra salawatullah or Lady Zainab salawatullah, I'd be speaking to the sisters. But no, the fathers. Why? Because science today has already said what Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam had said 1200 years ago. What Amir al-Mu'minin had said before that. What the Holy Prophet had said before that. What is that? A child, whatever environment that child grows up in, that child starts taking stuff from that environment. Meaning what? Meaning within the family, if the father is abusive, if the father is a tyrant, if the father is illiterate, if the father has all of these traits that no one desires, the child will pick up those traits. But if the father, he's caring, if the father is loving, if the father is adil, if the father is just, the child sees these traits and they pick up these traits from the parents. So it's a responsibility on the parents, especially the fathers. Why? Because every son looks up to their father as their role model. Every son, when they're growing up, they look to their father. When they see that their father is doing something good, they try to bring that and make that their own. And what happens when they see something that their father is doing bad? They'll think if the father doesn't correct it with himself, what do? They think, okay, you know what, there's nothing wrong with that, and they make that their own also. And this is why I'm speaking to the fathers, to make yourself better, so the next generation that's coming, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, so the next generation that's coming, they know what is good, what is bad. And when you look at loyalty, look at the father of Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'minin. No one in Islamic history was more loyal to Islam itself than Amir al-Mu'minin. No one. You look at when he came down to this world, he did not open his eyes until when? When his mother Fatima bint Asad salawatullah anha took him out of the Kaaba and handed him to the Holy Prophet. Loyalty to the Prophet, loyalty to Islam. You look at Amir al-Mu'minin in his young age, when he was a child, how did he show his loyalty to the Prophet? What would happen was in Mecca, whenever the Holy Prophet used to go out, the mushrikeen of Makkah, they would tell their children to annoy the Prophet. So the mushrikeen of Makkah, they would pelt rocks at the Holy Prophet. And when the Holy Prophet would come back, Hazrat Abu Talib, he would ask him, what happened? And the Holy Prophet, it's just the kids, they've done this. So Hazrat Abu Talib, he got annoyed and he went to their parents and he said, why are you letting your kids do this? And they all replied, Ya Abu Talib, they're kids, this is what they do. They're kids, this is what they do. He said, okay, no problem. Then he tells Amir al-Mu'minin, who's a child at that time, he tells Amir al-Mu'minin, Ya Ali, whenever the Prophet goes, you go with him. Amir al-Mu'minin, as a child, whenever the Prophet left, he went with him, and as soon as he saw kids pelt rocks at the Holy Prophet, he'd go and beat every single one of those kids up. These kids, they would go crying to the parents, and the parents would go tell Abu Talib, Ya Abu Talib, your child has done this to him. And Hazrat Abu Talib would reply, well, he's just a kid, this is what they do. He's just a kid. This is what they do. After that, they never bothered the Holy Prophet, because whenever they saw Amir al-Mu'mineen with them, the children would never bother. This is Amir al-Mu'mineen being loyal to the Holy Prophet as a child. Amir al-Mu'mineen being loyal to the Holy Prophet as a teenager. It was Amir al-Mu'mineen who slept in the Holy Prophet's bed when the Holy Prophet was going to Medina. Amir al-Mu'mineen being loyal to the Holy Prophet in Islam in adulthood. It was Amir al-Mu'mineen who brought victory to the Islamic armies in all of the battles that were fought. Loyalty to whom? The Holy Prophet. To what? To Islam. And you look at loyalty from the mother's side. Any sister that wants to see loyalty personified in a non-masoom, you look at Fatima bint Hizam, al-Baneen. Any sister that wants to see ibadat at its highest peak in a non-masoom, you look at Fatima bint Hizam, the mother of Abu al-Fazl Abbas alayhi salam. And any sister that wants to raise kids that will be of use to the Imam of the time, then they would have to go to the doorstep of Lady al-Baneen and see how that is possible. What do I mean? Even before Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam came to this world, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he goes to Aqil and he says, Aqil, this marriage, what do I mean? Some people, they get married without even thinking about why they're getting married. You should always have a reason. Amir al-Mu'mineen had his reason. He goes to Aqil and he says, Ya Aqil, find me a wife from amongst these Arabs who will grant me a son who will be of use to my son, Imam Hussein. Amongst the warriors of the Arabs, find me a wife who will be of use to me in this way. Aqil, he says, Ya Ali, okay, you can marry Fatima bint Hizam al-Kalabiyya. This family itself, Lady al-Baneen's family, they were known as warriors. Father, grandfather, grandparents, they were known as warriors. But not only that, but her father was a devout believer in Amir al-Mu'mineen himself. When Amir al-Mu'mineen said that to Aqil, he gave him the response, and then Amir al-Mu'mineen said, okay, you go and ask for the hand in marriage. So Aqil, when he goes, the father, he's sitting there. It's in Arab culture that, for 3 days you welcome the guest and they don't say anything. But if they stay more than 3 days, what happens then? The host asks, is there something I can help you with? Is there a reason that you've come here? That's when Aqil tells them that your daughter, I seek your daughter's hand in marriage to Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. And the father, he was excited. He was very happy that Amir al-Mu'mineen wants my daughter's hand in marriage. So what does he say? Does he say yes? No. The sunnah of the Holy Prophet. He tells Aqil, even though it's Amir al-Mu'mineen who's asking for that hand in marriage, in terms of piety, no one greater. In terms of valor, no one greater. Any of those sifat that you look at, no one greater than Amir al-Mu'mineen. Even though that's Amir al-Mu'mineen asking, Hizam, he says, Aqil, please wait. Let me go ask my daughter and her mother. And you see, in some parts of India, Pakistan, some parts in these Islamic countries, the father marries off the daughter without even asking her what she thinks. Without even asking her what she thinks. No, that's not the sunnah of the Holy Prophet. That's not the sunnah of the Aima alayhim salam if you're Shia. That's not our sunnah. Without even asking. But Hizam, he says, Aqil, wait, let me ask the mother. Let me ask the daughter what she thinks. And the narration states that when he was going to ask, he overhears the conversation that's happening between al-Baneen and her mother. And al-Baneen, she's talking to her mother and she says, oh my mother dear, last night I had seen a dream. And in that dream, I'm busy, engrossed, and thinking about the creation and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as I was sitting thinking about that, all of a sudden I see the moon, it comes into my lap. I see the moon, it comes into my lap. Then I see 3 other stars that come and they sit in my lap also. Can you tell me what that moon, or can you tell me the interpretation of that dream? And her mother, she was an educated person and she knew a little bit about dream interpretation. And she tells her, oh my daughter, pretty soon you'll be married to the best of the people of the Arab, and your son, the first son that will be born, will be as beautiful as the moon. The next 3 sons that you have, they'll be like these glowing stars. Hizam, he was waiting by the door, overhearing this conversation, and he comes in and he says, I congratulate both of you, because why? This dream that she had, it is about to come true if you accept. And they're looking at the mother, they're looking at the father, like, what do you mean? And he says that just right now, Aqil has come and he's brought a proposal from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He's asking for our daughter's hand in marriage. What do you think? Do you think she's ready? The mother says, yes, I believe she's absolutely ready. He asks the daughter and she says, it's up to you. It's up to you. Before Lady al-Baneen even goes to the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen, there's 2 things that she does that shows how much loyalty she had. The first thing, she tells Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, my name is the same name as Lady Zahra salawatullah alayha. My name is the same name as Lady Zahra salawatullah alayha. The first thing I want you to do is do not call me by this name. Why? Because I don't want the children of Lady Zahra to hear this name, remember their mother and start crying. 1. 2. From today forward, call me al-Baneen. And when she gets to the house, the first thing she does is she tells the kids before even stepping in that I'm not here as your mother. I'm here as your slave and your servant. Whatever you tell me to do, I will do. Loyalty. Loyalty. She raised her kids to know that the sons and daughters of Lady Zahra salawatullah alayha are not like them. She raised her kids to know that Zainab, Kulthum, Hassan and Hussein, they're greater than them. Don't even think for a second that you and them are at the same level. This is the reason that Abu al-Fazl Abbas alayhi salam, he never referred to Abu Abdullah as brother until he was being martyred. Why? Because Lady al-Baneen had told them that you are their servants. Do not even think that you're their equal. And what happens when Lady al-Baneen goes there? Some narrations, they state that Lady al-Baneen, she sees that Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, they're ill. She could have gone in there, said, why aren't they coming and seeing? Why aren't they coming to greet me? No. The narrations say the first thing she did was she attended to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The first thing she did, she attended to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, see how he was doing. And when it comes to Abu al-Fazl Abbas alayhi salam, what does Abbas mean? Do you all know? It has a common meaning, the one that frowns. The one that frowns. But it has a special meaning also. And it means lion. But not just any lion. That lion that other lions are afraid of. Abbas also has that meaning. That lion that other lions are afraid of. And this trait, Abu al-Fazl Abbas alayhi salam, shows that he is that lion that other lions are afraid of. When he was 13 years old, 14 years old, at the Battle of Siffin. At the Battle of Siffin. What happens at that battle? Amir al-Mu'minin, he sends Abu al-Fazl Abbas alayhi salam, he goes to the battle and he's killing the enemies left and right. Muawiyah's forces, they think that it's Amir al-Mu'mineen who's out there because of the way he's fighting. All of a sudden they see another person, they come and they look at both of these, and when Amir al-Mu'mineen removes the veil from his face, they realize that if this is Amir al-Mu'mineen, then who's this? Who's this other person who's fighting exactly like Ali alayhi salam? And that's when Amir al-Mu'mineen, he removes the veil of Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, and he says what? Huwal Abbas Qamru Bani Hashim. This is Abbas, the moon of the Hashimi clan. That's when Hazrat Abbas showed his loyalty not just to his father, to the Imam of the time, because that's what Amir al-Mu'mineen was at that time. After that, many people forget that it was Hazrat Abbas in the time of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he was also loyal to Imam Hassan alayhi salam until the very end of Imam Hassan's life. When the arrows were being shot at the casket of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, it was Hazrat Abbas who unsheathed his sword and he was going to attack. But the Imam of that time told him, no, Abbas, put your sword away. Why? Because my brother had told me, if this happens, do not take me to my grandfather's side. Just bury me in Baqi. Just bury me. This is, how many of us, if something like that happened with our parents, we would go attack? If we saw this happen to the Imam, how many of us we would go and attack the enemy? I could tell you I would. But this is what shows you the difference between us and Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. There is a reason Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, he said that Abbas, he has basirat. He was basir, he had basarat. There's sirat, there's this, the seeing with the eyes, and then there's basirat, seeing with the mind, seeing with the heart, reality. And inshallah, when we get to his sermon, and that's what I want to focus on a little bit, what Hazrat Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam meant. But Hazrat Abbas, what does he do? He puts his sword away. Why? Because now the Imam of the time, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, told him not to do it. When we come to Karbala, you see the same thing. The Imam of the time, he tells Abbas, Abbas, do not go there with your sword. Abbas, you want to go grab water, get water, but here, take the spear with you. And before they were leaving Makkah, that sermon of Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, look what he says. There's so much to take out from that sermon in terms of gnosis, in terms of his understanding of imamat itself. What does he say? He says, Alhamdulillah lazi sharafa haza biqudumi abihi. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who honored this house, Baytullah, with the coming of his father. He doesn't say with the birth of his father, with the coming of his father. Biqudumi abihi. And then what does he go on to say? This house was nothing but a four-walled building until when? Until his father came into it. After his father descended into this house, that is when this house became Qibla. Meaning what? Just like Hazrat Adam alayhi salam. When the body of Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was made, the angels were not told to prostrate. They were not told to do sajda to just the body. But finally, when that spirit was put into the body of Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, that is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the angels to do sajda towards Adam. The same way, Hazrat Abbas is saying that when this spirit came into the Kaaba, that is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told all of humanity to do sajda towards the Kaaba. And that spirit is Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And what does he go on to say? He goes on to say, Ayyuhal kafaratu fajara. Oh, you kafirs and wretched ones. Who is he speaking to? It's time of Hajj. What kafir does Hajj? If everyone that does Hajj is a Muslim, then Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam, he would not have called them kafirs. The same thing with Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. With Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, it was time of Hajj. One of his companions, he says, Mullah, look at all these Hajis. Look at all these Hajis. Imam alayhi salam, he looks at him, he says, do you want to see how many actual Hajis there are? And he goes, Mullah, what do you mean? He puts his two fingers, he separates two of his fingers like this in front of his eyes. He looks and he sees everyone that's there. He sees people who look like monkeys. He sees people that look like wolves. He sees people that look like pigs. He sees people that look like coyotes. He sees people with different faces. And he goes, Mullah, what is this? He goes, this is the reality. You think all of these people that come here are Muslim? You think they're all believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. Some of these people, they just accept Islam. Why? Because it benefits them, not because they realize that Islam is the truth. And that's exactly what happened with the first three. especially with the first two Khalifas. They accepted Islam. Why? Because they knew that there was something for them to benefit, not because they knew that Islam was reality. But what does Hazrat Abbas say? He says, "O wretched kafirs and oppressors, you're not allowing the Imam of this pious, or Imam of the pious to visit the Kaaba, the one who has the most right to do so. If it was not for the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for the unseen mysteries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had not willed that His creation would be tested, then this Kaaba itself would uproot and go to Him. And it is Him who has honored this Kaaba by coming to it. It is Imam Hussein alayhi salam who's honored the Kaaba by coming to it. Most of us, when we go to Hajj, we are honored because we've done Hajj. We are honored. But Hazrat Abbas, he says, no, this Kaaba has been honored. Why? Because the Imam of the time has come to it. So there's a difference there. And then what does he go on to say? He goes on to say that this Kaaba would have uprooted itself for my master. But my Mawla came here himself and honored the Kaaba himself. Verily, people kiss Hajar al-Aswad, but Hajar al-Aswad kisses the hands of my Mawla. This is Abul Fazl. Allah. Salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. He goes on to say that the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the will of my Mawla. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, that is the same exact will of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn al-Islam. And the will of my Mawla is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, I swear by Allah, if it were not for this, then I would have attacked you the way an eagle attacks sparrows. If it was not for this, I would have attacked you the way an eagle attacked. Saqar, Hazrat Abbas has used the word saqar. Saqar is a falcon. And that too, there's so much to take out of this khutbah and I don't have that much time. Saqar, even in English, they call it saqar, S-A-Q-E-R. That is a falcon. And that too, this falcon is the second largest falcon that exists. If you think about the words and why he used those words, he knows who is the first largest falcon. And that first largest falcon is sitting right by the Kaaba. And he himself, he says that I am that falcon. And this falcon, which falcon? This falcon that has been raised not just on an ordinary arm, this falcon that has been raised on Yadullah himself. I am that falcon. If I was given the opportunity, I would have attacked you the way this falcon attacks sparrows and ripped you into shreds up in the air itself. Up in the air itself. And then he goes on, the hujjat that Hazrat Abbas gives them, everything is there. Scaring them with akhirah doesn't work. Scaring them with what will happen in akhirah doesn't work. Telling them who he is and what he's capable of doesn't work. If it worked, then Karbala wouldn't have happened. Karbala wouldn't have happened. And just like the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He doesn't test the people or He doesn't punish the people until He completely proves to them that yes, He exists and there will be a punishment to come. That's why He sent Prophet. But Hazrat Abbas, what does he say? He says that, imagine, you want to scare us with death? How can you scare us with death when we used to play with the angel of death when we were kids? What do you think about us now that we're adults? What do you think about us now that we're adults? And he goes on to say, oh people, what has happened to your intellect? Do you not recognize what is the difference between the family of Prophet and the family of Yazid, lanatullah alayh? On one side is the family of Yazid who drinks alcohol, and on the other side is the master and owner of the pool of Kawthar. On one side are people whose house is the incarnation of evil and impurity, and on the other side is a house whose the incarnation of what? Owners of revelation and tatheer. You are repeating, Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, he says, you are repeating the same mistake that the Quraysh did in the time of the Holy Prophet. You are repeating that same mistake. They planned to kill Rasulullah and you are planning to kill his son or the son of Rasulullah. The Quraysh were not successful in their evil schemes because they could never overcome Amir al-Mu'mineen. Now how can it be possible to kill Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam when the son of that Ali is a protector of the son of Rasulullah? When the son of that Ali If you have the courage, then come and try to kill me. After you kill me, then you will be successful in fulfilling your evil desires. And when you look at Karbala, everyone felt safe until Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam was still alive. Everyone felt safe. And what does he say at the end? He says, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send His la'an on you, on your forefathers, and on your progeny. La'nat on all three. This is Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, what does he say? He says that he testifies and he says that my uncle Abbas accomplished his duties regarding the pledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the loyalty to the Imam of the time that needed to be shown. The Imam would not have said that if it was not true. Why? Because the tongue of the Imam never lies. It doesn't lie. And when does he show this loyalty again? In Karbala. Shimr, when he brings a parchment of pardon, he brings a parchment and it's pardoned whom? It's pardoned Hazrat Abbas and his brothers. He calls out for Hazrat Abbas. Hazrat Abbas, he doesn't say anything. One time. He calls out again, second time, he doesn't say anything. When he calls out a third time, that's when Imam Hussein, he tells his brother, he goes, Abbas, go check what he wants. And with Abbas, he goes and he asks him, or La'in, what do you want? He goes, I have here pardon for you. So if you just leave right now, nothing will come to you, nothing will happen to you. And Hazrat Abbas, he looked at him, he goes, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala curse you. You have pardoned me, you've brought a pardon for me, but you haven't brought anything for my master, Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. You've not brought anything for him? No, he goes, take your pardon and leave. I have nothing to do with it. This is the loyalty of Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran that among the believers are men who have been true to their covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of them some have completed their vow and some still wait. But they have never changed in the least in what they want to accomplish. Surah Al-Ahzab, verse number 23. And the Mufassirin, they say that this verse was revealed for Amir al-Mu'mineen, Jafar al-Tayyar, and Hazrat Hamza. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, the ones that wait are me. The ones who fulfilled their vow were Hamza and Ja'far. That vow was to be shaheed in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amir al-Mu'mineen was saying that I am the only one left that's waiting. And in the context of Karbala, all of the shuhada that were martyred before Hazrat Abbas, they're the ones that fulfilled their vow. And now, when it's come time for Hazrat Abbas, he is the one that is waiting. So brothers and sisters, this loyalty that we need for the Imam of the time. Many think that we're waiting for the Imam. But the Imam himself, he is waiting also. He is waiting for those 313 who would be with him. He is waiting for the individuals to make themselves turn into those 313. But many of us, we live our lives just waiting, praying for the Imam to come. Yes, the Imam will come, but he himself is waiting. What are we doing to make ourselves better? Are we as loyal to the Imam as Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam was to Imam Hussein alayhi salam? Tonight, we give our condolences not just to Al Baneen. We give our condolences not just to Lady Zainab salawatullahi alaiha, not just Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. We give our condolences to the whole family of Rasulullah. Because as long as Hazrat Abbas was alive, no one dared come near the camp of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. Sallallahu alayka ya
رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا أمير المؤمنين صلى الله عليك يا صديقة فاطمة صلى الله عليك يا حسن المجتبى صلى الله عليك يا غريب الغرباء يا أبا عبد الله الحسين. Brothers and sisters, before we even get to Karbala, it's the 21st of Ramadan. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he's in his last moments of life. He calls all of his children, and one by one, he gives them in the hands of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, but there's one child who's left at the door and he's crying. When Amir al-Mu'mineen sees the child, Hazrat Abbas, he runs to his mother, and his mother asks, Ya Abbas, what is wrong? Why are you crying? Hazrat Abbas, he says, oh mother dear, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he gave all of the children's hand to Imam Hassan, but he left me there. He didn't say anything about me. I want to know, have I done something wrong? al-Balid, she goes and she puts her hands together. She says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I've never once said anything to you about anything. I have to ask you something. Have I done something wrong in this time period that we were married? And he says, Ya al-Balid, you've not done anything wrong. Why? And she says, has my son Abbas done anything wrong? And he says, al-Balid, he's not done anything wrong either. What happened? And she says that my son Abbas, he came to me crying because you put all of the children, you gave them to Imam Hassan, but you left him standing there. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he looks at al-Balid and says, oh al-Balid, I married you for the sake of Abbas. Abbas, he doesn't go to Imam Hassan, he goes to Imam Hussein. He says, call my son Abbas. When Hazrat Abbas comes, he takes his son, he says, Ya Abbas, I want you to put your hands on Imam Hussein's hands and do bay'ah to Imam Hussein. Hazrat Abbas, he says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I'll put my hands on Hazrat Abbas, I'll put my hands on Imam Hussein's feet and I'll do bay'ah. And he said, oh my son Abbas, remember me when Imam Hussein, he's traveling and he's lonely in that land. And Hazrat Abbas, he says, oh my father dear, what do you mean? He says, on that day, make sure that you sacrifice yourself on my behalf. You will be my representative. Brothers and sisters, it's the 10th of Ashur. All of the companions of Imam Hussein, they've been martyred now. And there's a child, she keeps saying, Al-Atash, Al-Atash, she keeps crying of thirst. Hazrat Abbas, he's not been given permission. He goes to Abu Abdullah and says, oh Mawla, give me permission to go to battle. Imam Hussein, he says, Abbas, you're the commander of this army. How can I give you permission? He goes once, he goes twice, he doesn't give him permission. Then Lady Sukaina, she goes to her uncle and she says, oh uncle, here I want water. And he says, oh Sukaina, ask your father if he'll give me permission to go get water. Then when Sukaina goes to Imam Hussein looks at Sukaina and says, oh Sukaina, if he goes this time, he'll never come back again. Hazrat Abbas, when he was given permission, Imam Hussein tells him, Abbas, leave your sword with me, but take a spear. Hazrat Abbas, when he goes to Furat, what is the first thing he do? He takes some water and he tries to drink it, but when he wants to put it in his mouth, he thinks to himself, how can I drink this water when the children of Hussein are so thirsty? He throws the water down. He fills the basket for Hazrat Sukaina, and he goes back with water in that sheepskin. When he goes back with that water, what happens? As soon as he was going, one of the enemies, they sever Hazrat Abbas's right arm. Another enemy, they sever Hazrat Abbas's left arm. And brother and sister, when Hazrat Abbas fell from that horse, he had nothing to protect himself. Whenever one of us falls down, we put our arms down and we protect our body, we protect our face. But when Abu Fazl Abbas, he fell from that horse, there was nothing to break his fall. When he fell down, what happens? There was an enemy that struck an arrow in Hazrat Abbas's eye. And Hazrat Abbas, he goes into a ruku position. The ulama, they say maybe he went into a ruku position because he had no arms to take out that arrow. He wanted to take out that arrow with his knees. And as soon as he went into the ruku position, there was another enemy who struck Abu Fazl Abbas on the back of the head. That's when he cries out his last salam, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Imam Hussein, he hurries to the battlefield and he sees that Hazrat Abbas in his last moments of life. Hazrat Abbas, he says to his master, oh my master, I've troubled you. Oh my master, can I trouble you for one more thing? And Imam Hussein, he goes, oh my brother, what is it? He goes, master, I've heard that when I was born, the first face I saw was your beautiful face. Oh my master, there's an arrow in one of my eyes and the other eye is covered with blood. If I had my own arms, I would have removed the blood from my eyes, but my arm's not here. Can you remove that blood from me? Imam Hussein, he removes the blood and he says, oh my master, I have two wishes. My first wish is that I had promised Sakina that I would bring her back water, but I was not able to fulfill that wish, so please do not take my body back to the camp, leave my body here. Abbas, I will do that for you. What is your second wish? And he says, Mawla, from the day I was born, I called you master, I gave you the utmost respect. What I want today is that all of the people that come to visit my grave, I want them to be able to go back with something. And Imam Hussein al-Sabi says, from today on you'll be known as Babul Hawaj Abbas. Abbas, but I also have one wish from you. Since you were born, you've always called me Imam, you've always called me master, you've always called me Mawla. But Abbas, today I also have one wish. What I want from you is I want you to call me brother. Abbas, he says that, oh Mawla, this is how I was trained. My mother brought me up like this to call you master. If you give me permission, let me see my mother and I will call you brother if you want. Hadrat Ahmad narrations say that Hadrat Abbas, he got permission from his mother and he called him brother for the last time. And when the Qafilah came back to Medina, before the Qafilah came back to Medina, there was a messenger that came to Medina and he tells the people, oh people, there's some news that I have brought. As soon as this person came, al-Baneen, she comes out and she says, what is the news? And this person, he says, what's your name? He says that my name is al-Baneen. As soon as he heard the name al-Baneen, the first thing he says that, Azamullahu juraka bil musabik walidik al-Ja'far. O al-Baneen, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I give you my condolences for the tragedy that befell Ja'far. al-Baneen, she puts her hands together. She says, oh Bashir, I don't want to know about my son Ja'far. Tell me what happened to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Then he goes on to repeat the same thing. He says, Azamullahu lakal ajr bi musabik walidik al-Ja'far. Uthman, and he says, I don't want to know about Uthman. She says about Abdullah also. She says, I don't want to know about Abdullah. Tell me what happened to Hussein. Then she repeats for the fourth time the same thing. I give you my condolences for what befell Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And that's when she asked him, oh Bashir, where was my son Abbas when all of this was happening? And he says for a fifth time, oh al-Baneen, I give you my condolences to what befell Abbas. Before Abu Abdullah left this world, Hazrat Abbas, he sacrificed himself for Imam Hussein. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Wa la'natullahi ala al-qawm az-zalimin. Please recite Surah Fatiha for your marhumin, for the marhumin of all the mu'mineen, mu'minat that do not have anyone to pray on their behalf.